Well, the crisis within the opposition parties, People's Democratic Party, has deepened dramatically. A faction loyal to FCT Minister Nyesom Wike has summoned an emergency meeting of the party's top organs for tomorrow, Tuesday. Now, this comes just 2 days after the main faction of the party had its national convention in Ibadan. Well, they expelled Wike and several other prominent members of the for alleged anti-party activities. Now, the expulsion is being rejected by the Wike faction, which argues that the convention itself was illegal, pointing to a conflicting court order from Abuja that had directed the party to halt the event. Well, the party now appears to be effectively split into two opposing camps. We're going to have a conversation with former PDP National Legal Advisor, Barrister Jacob Mark, on the aftermath of this just concluded PDP National Convention in Ibadan. He's going to be weighing in on the expulsion of Wike and his cohorts, the legal implications of the convention following INEC's absence, and of course, well, what lies ahead for the party now. Welcome to the program. Thank you so much for joining us today, Barrister Mark.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, considering the absence of INEC, what is the legal weight of the Ibadan Convention's outcomes? Does it proceeded amidst reports of conflicting court orders, one stopping the convention, one allowing it, a lot of confusion. Can you clarify the specific court order and the jurisdiction that the PDP relied upon to proceed, and how, the party is going to be reconciling these injunctions that it advised against holding the convention?
Well, the Ibadan Convention took place as required and as desired by the members of the PDP. I have with me, and I will leave a copy for Arise, the notice required by the Electoral Act on INEC. That notice was issued on the 29th of August, signed by the National Chairman and National Secretary at that time, who are now defunct. The two of them signed the notice of convention after the appropriate NEC meeting, where the decisions to organize and hold the convention with the dates and venue was discussed. And of course, INEC was in attendance even at that NEC meeting, where the discussion and the decision for the convention were taken. So, as required by Section 82 of the Electoral Act, the PDP is only required to give this notice. PDP or any other party cannot compel INEC to attend any convention or any meeting whatsoever. It is within the prerogative and competence of INEC to decide whether to attend or not to attend. And let it be very clear, INEC does not validate meetings. The presence or absence of INEC does not invalidate or validate any meeting of a political party. It is just cheap blackmail where people who cannot get their way within the party run to now use INEC as a basis for ventilating their opinion and assertion. Otherwise, nobody should be talking about INEC attending or not attending. It is not mandatory for INEC to attend. If you check Section 82 of the Electoral Act, you will see it clearly. INEC may attend and monitor the convention. It is not mandatory. So if INEC chooses not to attend for reasons that must or may be justifiable, nobody should get green pimples because of that. No, so the convention was rightly held, and yes, I'm with you.
Okay, but I'd like us to focus a bit on the outcome. To what extent did the convention resolve the systemic leadership crisis, that has plagued the PDP for so many years? Already, we've heard reports that the Wike-backed faction has now summoned an emergency NEC and BOT meeting for Tuesday. So how well have you dealt, with the leadership crisis in the PDP?
Absolutely. Everything has been sorted out. The number of people portraying themselves as a faction I would like to see them in a hall, not in a room in one of the government offices in the FCTA, where Wike called people to a round table. They sat down, took tea, and then declared themselves as BOT members. The BOT of PDP alone is more than 300 people. Just the BOT. So how a conference room in Abuja could contain all the BOT members, contain all the NWC members, contain NEC members, and then appoint a BOT chairman is one of the most funny gaps I've seen in Nigeria's political environment in recent times. Nobody has capacity and power to own a political party, no matter how big and no matter how rich. You can't own a political party alone. So for Nyesom Wike to invite his friends to the government house, it's just like inviting people to a government office and appointing a BOT chairman, a man who cannot go to his village to conduct election. You call him and say he's BOT chairman, and he's happy about it, and he's even reading a speech as BOT chairman, issuing threats, issuing ultimatums, and advising people to go and do so and so. It is strange that people will submit themselves to such gangsterism, where somebody will just invite you and you will respond and you will obey and read whatever is written for you to read. So it won't work. We can count the number of people in that hall, and they cannot form a political party. What NEC meeting are they holding? Who appointed them as NEC? NEC is not even something you appoint. NEC is made up of statutory persons, former National Working Committee members, former governors, former BOT members, former office holders in the National Assembly and State Assembly. Those are members of BOT or members of NEC. They are not appointed. They are statutory. You must belong to a certain class defined in the constitution of the PDP to be a member of NEC. But when you call people, you just invite them, and then you appoint them and name them as NEC. It is embarrassing, not just to PDP, but it is embarrassing to the political atmosphere. And nobody should allow that to go on. They are not actually a faction. They are just a group of people who want to grandstand, knowing they have lost the fight. Because people like Wike, for instance, have not attended any PDP meeting since 2023. So I wonder how he wants to control the PDP without being a member of the PDP. And the expulsion was long overdue. But you know, I know that most of the elders, governors and so on, kept saying, look, this is a family thing. Let's treat carefully. Let's see if we can woo people back. Let them understand that we still are a family. But it failed because continuously and consistently, Minister Wike kept saying that the PDP should forget about 2023. As if he's God. 2027, has not yet come. We are still in 2025. We have not seen 2026. You are telling all of us that have invested in the PDP, who have ambitions, different from you. You have your own ambition. For God's sake, why should you subsume and compel everybody to be servicing your ambition? You have an ambition to retain a Bola Tinubu in office. That is your view. That is your entitlement. But for God's sake, so many other people want to be governors. Some people want to be senators, House of Reps members, House of Assembly members. You want everybody to collapse his ambition to yours? It doesn't make sense. And that is the reason why members of the party, majority of the members of the party that attended the convention, endorsed his complete expulsion with his gang of followers. They are supposed to be expelled because they have done what no member of the party or any other party should do. You cannot be claiming membership of the political party and then you'll be given the conditions not to aspire to be anything. Why do we have a political party if there will be no aspiration? If you will not be given opportunity to actualize ambitions? All of us cannot be minister. All of us cannot be a minister of the FCT. If Wike wants to be minister of the FCT for generations to come, that's his business and that's his ambition. He's entitled to it. But he cannot subsume our individual and collective interests and aspirations into his own. It's not going to happen. That is why majority of the members of the party eased him out of the party.
Speaking of those collective interests, it has taken quite a while for him to be eased out of the party. I know now is a crucial time for the PDP, but what's the party's consolidated legal defense strategy? Is the PDP ready to take this resolution all the way up to the Supreme Court? And how could this divert from all the work? But won't it divert from all the talk of cohesion and moving forward with the party? How can a party divided amongst itself face the APC at a time when it's very crucial?
You see, the APC, with due respect to whoever is there, has failed to convince Nigerians with actions, with activities, with programs, with achievements. The only achievement that APC can boast of is the poaching of PDP members from the party into their party. If they were comfortable and sure of winning any election, they won't be going all over the place harassing people, some of them being blackmailed, some of them being cajoled with several issues to come and join the APC. If you are so sure of your strength, if you have performed to the level that Nigerians are now very happy, the economy is thriving, if you are sure that you have restored security and people can now travel from Abuja to Jalingo, from Abuja to Lagos by road without fear, if people can now take their vehicles and drive happily in the evenings and go to Jos from Abuja or move from here to even Nasarawa close by without fear of being kidnapped. If you are sure that the economy is now thriving, people can earn salaries of 100,000 and they are able to buy food, they are able to send their children to school, they can pay their rent. If you are sure that you have done something that impresses the Nigerian mass, you shouldn't be bothered about who is in PDP or Labour Party or NNPP. What is happening today is that the cream de la cream of all these political parties in PDP, APC, Labour Party, NNPP are being wooed to leave their party and come and join the APC. We are saying, and very clearly too, that the APC is doing a lot of campaign for the opposing party. If they have achieved, they won't be wasting their time poaching our members, poaching our governors, poaching our senators, House of Assembly members, all over the place. You are lobbying and making them to come and join you. Sadly, they do not understand that the heads of those people that they are poaching they did not elect themselves. They were elected by people who are still holding PDP cards. And they are going to vote for PDP. That you came and took the member representing me in my constituency and made him your own member does not change the fact that we produced him. It does not change the fact that the people who elected him are still where they are. They are still persuaded that the person who took their mandate away and sold it for a morsel of bread is actually betraying a trust given to him by the people. Many of these people will not win the next election, I tell you. Because they have betrayed the trust given to them. Yes.
Now, you said that the APC's only achievement, is poaching PDP members. But then I'm wondering if you're worried that Wike's expulsion alongside his allies could also trigger a wave of defections, or new alliances with rival parties. I know that some of your governors, for instance, Amadou Fintiri and Caleb Muftwang, they are against his expulsion from the party. So are you worried that this could trigger more defections for your own party, the PDP? And where does that leave you ahead of 2027?
Now, let me say this. At INEC meeting or at conventions, when you hold a convention, every delegate has one vote only. Whether you are a governor, you are a president, you are a vice president, deputy, everybody, even a man wearing slippers to that meeting, if he's a delegate, he has an equal vote like you. So when you see a convention taking place, and that is why the people that were protecting Wike were making sure that we never held INEC. They didn't want us to hold convention, and they went all over the place, struggling hard to stop this convention. If it's not for the resilience of members in the grassroots who had capacity to mobilize themselves to come to that convention would not have held. But they lost it because all the efforts they tried to do did not succeed. And let's get back to the votes. We had it targeted 3,131 delegates for the convention. I was in charge of accreditation, and I know that 2,745 delegates were present in Ibadan, physically accredited with identification. And they moved into that convention venue with a resolve to give life to the party, to take it away from the handful of people that have messed it up since 2023. Because we left most of the decisions to a handful of big men, either governors or former this and that. They had a grip on the party. And because some high-handed individuals among them could control them, they made it impossible for the people who own the party, particularly in the grassroots, to have a say in what happens. And that is why people could not be suspended, people could not be disciplined, because the decision to do those things was left in the hands of a handful of their friends. So, and that is why every effort to hold a convention was frustrated, and even this one, they tried every trick in the books to frustrate it. Happily, the resilience of a handful of our leaders and the generality of the members of the party made sure that the convention took place. And there is nothing anybody can do about it. They hue and cry about court decisions or court. We took care of that by making sure that INEC got the requisite notice to hold the convention. 29th of August was the date that the notice was served on INEC. And I have with me here a certified true copy of that notice received from INEC itself. And I'm so happy that those that were in charge took care of documentation properly. There was no carelessness, and everything is intact. And the courts have repeatedly said that the internal affairs of political parties cannot be taken over by courts. So when you go to one court, maybe chaired or handled by your friend, and he gives you an order that runs contrary to the orders of the Supreme Court, you are just taking nothing. It will go nowhere. And we are anxious for this weekend or this week to come by. We'll file the appropriate papers and get that decision.
Now, Barrister Mark, very well said.
Set aside, I mean.
Now,
because it was issued, yes.
Well, sorry to interrupt you, but we have to wrap up soon. So as we wrap up this interview, I'm just wondering what mechanisms, the PDP will introduce going forward to prevent a recurrence of leadership hijacks, parallel congresses, and factional conventions.
Yes, first of all, let's be very clear that the PDP will obey its own constitution and the rules of the game. The Electoral Act will be scrupulously complied with. But nobody should ever think that he will use any court to frustrate the PDP. We will not allow it. And nobody should ever think that because he's governor or he's a senior member of the party that he will come and hijack this party again. The name of the party is People's Democratic Party. The people, the ordinary members of the party, will insist to own the party and to take decisions through the valid organs set up by the Constitution. And that is the INEC. The NWC will take instructions from INEC. And going forward, nobody should use any forum to strangulate the party. And we are saying that the people will certainly assert themselves going forward. And I'm happy with the new leadership. It comprises of people who have vowed to allow the people who have their say running the party forward. The door is open for reconciliation, but reconciliation will never be that kind of reconciliation that could not take place between 2023 to date. It is not possible to continue chasing people, placating them, and making them have their way while the soul of the party is being toyed with. It cannot happen and should not happen again.
Well, we'd like to thank you for joining us and discussing this with us, Barrister Jacob Mark, former PDP National Advisor.